Okay, so we are going to be working on our animal article. So this is your informational writing piece, and you have a rubric to follow, and then I've given an outline and an example. So I'm going to go over those. So when you look at your rubric, this assignment is worth 20 points. So you will see up top it tells you there's 5 different areas. There's content, vocabulary, mechanics, opinion, and reflection. So there's 5 areas, and you can get up to 4 points in each area. So if you get 4 points in all 5 areas, then you get 20 out of 20, which is a 100%. You can see in content, in order to get your 4 points, it tells you exactly what you have to do. So there is your rubric. It's going to tell you, like in vocabulary, in order to get the full 4 points, you need to include 5 or more words from the word list and use them correctly. I'm going to go over what that word list is in a minute. To get 3 points, you use 4 words from the word list correctly. To get 2 points, use 3 words and use them correctly. So it tells you, if you want the best score, it tells you exactly what you need to do. The word list that I'm talking about, it's a scientific word list. So we have been studying animals. And so it tells you to check the rubric to see. So the words on the word list are nocturnal, predator, prey, omnivore, herbivore, carnivore, habitat, hibernate, adaptation, defense mechanism, mammal, bird, reptile, fish, amphibian, survive, ecosystem, migrate, social, endangered, extinct, and lifespan. So let's talk about these words for a minute. In order to get the points, you not only have to use the words, but you have to use them correctly. So if you're going to describe your animal to me, you're not going to use mammal, bird, reptile, fish, and amphibian because your animal's only going to be one of them. So just because there are words on there doesn't mean you can use, you can't just put mammal, bird, reptile, fish, amphibian, and those be your 5 words because you're not going to be using them correctly in their context. Just like omnivore, herbivore, and carnivore. Well, your animal's going to be one of those. It's either going to be an omnivore, which eats plants and meat. It's going to be an herbivore, which eats only plants, or it's going to be a carnivore, which eats only meat. It's not going to be all 3, so you can only use one of those words. So there are lots to choose from. In order to get the full points, you just need to use 5 of them. Some questions that you can be thinking about to answer that help give you the details and the facts about your animals. What adaptations has your animal made to survive? If it's a bird, is their beak shaped a certain way that helps them survive? If it's an animal that lives where it's really hot, well, how have they adapted to live in the heat? If it's an animal that lives where it's really cold, what's on their body that helps them live in the cold? Where does your animal live? So what's its habitat? Does it live in the desert? Does it live in the rainforest? What does your animal eat? And then when you talk about what your animal eats, that's where you can use one of those scientific words, omnivore, herbivore, and carnivore. How does your animal survive? What do they do to survive? How do they hunt? How do they avoid being hunted? Does your animal live in a group or does it live alone? So if they live in a group, they are social animals. So there's one of your words, social. They have group behaviors. If they live alone, why do they live alone? Is your animal a predator or is it a prey animal? So if it's a predator, if you're talking about an animal like a lion that's a predator, what animals does it prey upon? If your animal is a prey, so if you're talking about a rabbit, which is a prey animal, who are their predators? What other animals live in the same habitat as your animal? So what lives around your animal and what is its ecosystem like? You don't have to use these and you don't have to use all of them. They're just some ways to get started thinking about your animal. So here's a sample outline that this would help you get the full points because part of it says it's got to be 4 paragraphs and each paragraph has to have 4 to 6 complete sentences. So here's an idea. In paragraph 1, sentence 1, introduce your animal. Your next 3 sentences 2, 3, and 4, give your opinion. Why did you choose this animal? Your last sentence, tell your reader what you're going to be teaching them. So you go through all of that. You're going to scroll down and you're going to see my example article about the walrus. This would be an article that would receive full points. I've underlined the scientific words that I've used so you can see them. I've got all my sentences. I have no spelling mistakes. Now, one thing, you cannot do a walrus since I did the example. and you need to make sure that this writing is in your own words. You cannot go online and copy and paste.